Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something I've only done once before, and I'm gonna do a try a chapter. You might have seen in a previous video this massive list of things to read. Hard to tell. Down here in pencil is like other things that I'm hoping to get to, and then everything up here is for the William Readathon hosted by G over on the Book Roast. So I have a lot to read. There's a lot to get through, and it's the last week of April. So, with that said, I have my TBR that I curated from playing my TBR game. You can check that out on my channel if you wish. And then, let me bring you closer. And then I have the rest of the things that I want to read, either for book clubs or for bonus Aurelium things, bonus points to get in Realmathon hosted by Covers with Cassidy. So yeah, I have a big ol' list. I have a really big list. And I'm not going to guarantee that I can get through all of these first chapters, but the goal for this video is going to be to try them out. I'm obviously going to hopefully, the plan is to read all of these. Is that going to happen? I'm not really sure, because I only have a week. But the goal is to figure out what my next read for tonight, at least, is going to be, and maybe like a priority of when I want to get to what. My issue is books that don't captivate me by the first chapter, I'm scared I'm going to want to put off longer. So I have to be a little bit cautious, a little bit careful with that. But this is the stack. Oh, this is terrifying. Look at all these books I need to read. Oh no. So the Atlas 6 here on the bottom is on my TBR from last month that I need to get to. One by One's on my TBR for this month. The Adventures of Amina AlSarafi is on my TBR. The Writing Retreat is the Literally Dead Book Club pick, and the live show is on Saturday. House of Hungers is on my TBR, Godkiller is on my TBR, Home Before Dark is on my TBR, and The Secret History is on my TBR from last month. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fine. It's so fun and fresh. So yeah, I guess we'll just get started, shall we? I have audiobooks for some of these to help me kind of get through it a little bit faster, and then I have the non-audiobooks ones that are going to take me far longer to get through. So I think I'm just going to read it in the order in which the stack is. So we will start with The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is dark academia, modern classic, if you will. It is people's absolute favorite. It is like the tried and true dark academia book. I don't know exactly what's going to go on in this. I do know that it's set more like Greek secret club, if you will. It's part of like this Greek class that very few students get accepted into. It's very like prestigious, and you have to be not like the other girls. So yeah, I will give this a read, and then I will come back to you. Let's see what the first line is. Oh, the acknowledgements are in the front. Okay, The Secret History prologue. The snow in the mountains was melting, and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation. A murder. Okay, I'll come back later. Okay. Why? I don't know how long all of the chapters are going to be in this Bible thin paper kind of book, but the fact that it's 45 pages for the first chapter and the 2-page prologue, why? So far it's kind of boring. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. If you know me, and if you've been on my channel for a little bit, you would know that I adore If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio so much. That is like one of my all-time favorite books ever. I have a special edition, illustrated special edition. There's a newly announced Barnes & Noble special edition that I'm using my entire will to not pre-order because I don't need it, but I want it. I like dark academia. I love the Shakespeares of If We Were Villains. I have no thoughts about Greek. Nothing. I've never taken it. I've never really had an interest in learning it. I barely have a desire to travel to Greece to begin with, unless it's like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants kind of thing. But it's boring, and the worst part, it's narrated by Donna Tartt. And I'm so sorry, I'm not a Donna Tartt fan in this household, and I don't like the narration in the audiobook, but I'm scared to read this on my own without it. So that's gonna be rough. That's gonna really suck for me, reading this whole book with Donna Tartt in my ear. It's not that like she's bad or anything, it's just her voice doesn't match the tone of this. Like, I'm expecting very prestigious, upper class, posh ass bitches, and it's just not giving. It's just not giving. And we're following our main character as he goes to college. My name is Richard Papin. Papin? I'm 28 years old, and I had never seen New England or Hampton College until I was 19. I am a Californian by birth, and also I have recently discovered by nature. So, like, he's boring. He's so boring, and he took like 2 years of Greek, and therefore wants to be a part of the Greek class and doesn't get in because the teacher is like, sorry, super select group. And I don't care. I know that it's a bigger book. There's going to be character development. There's a lot that's going to go down, but like, truly doesn't excite me. It wasn't very interesting. It wasn't very fun. I've been told that within, like, on page 50, there's a racial slur of some sort, or maybe it's not racial, but there is a slur of some sort, which just feels like unnecessary. So that's The Secret History. It might be at the bottom. I have no interest. I don't really care. Next up will be, oh my goodness, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I've read Riley Sager's Survive the Night and The House Across the Lake. I enjoyed both after the fact. They were a fun, silly time, but they are so frustrating in the moment, especially Survive the Night. I had more fun with House Across the Lake, but Lock Every Door, Home Before Dark, and the one about lying or something, those are the three that I see circulating around that are like Riley Sager's tried and true best he's ever done. And I think a lot of people have less enjoyed, excuse me ma'am, I think people have enjoyed him less nowadays, and so I'm excited to kind of go back to, like, not go back, I've never been here, but I'm excited to try an older release from him that I've heard so many positive reviews compared to what I have already read. I know that for the Literally Dead book club for July, Riley Sager's new book will be the pick, and I am excited. Do I want to buy it? Not really. Am I going to? Probably, because it's impossible to get the audiobooks. But yeah, unfortunately I will probably buy it, but I'm not like excited to buy it, but I am excited for it, you know? Okay, I'm gonna get to reading this now. Let's see. So many. The Last Time I Lied. That's what it is. Riley Sager. For those who tell ghost stories and those who believe them. Every house has a story to tell and a secret to share. House of Horrors, a true story by Ewan Holt. Oh, I'm excited already. Oh my god, okay. Hold please. First page, intrigue, so high. That was fantastic. Oh my gosh. another one down. Hey. And the intrigue is so high. I actually want to continue this right now and scrap this video, but I need a video. So I'm actually really enjoying this. It's 36 pages is the first like chapter, but the first chapter is chapter 1 and then 2 chapters of the book that the dad writes. So the plot of this so far is that there's 2 timelines. It's a book within a book, so if you don't like that trope, it's not going to work for you, but I do enjoy books within books. And basically the book that we're reading inside the book, how many times can I say that, is the story of this family buying a basically haunted house without knowing it. So they buy what they don't know at the time is a haunted house, and it's going to be recounting their time, their 20 days in this house when Maggie is 5 years old. And then we have the present timeline where we're following Maggie after the death of her father, who wrote this book, and she is anti-ghost. She believes in science. She doesn't believe in ghosts. Everything that's written in the book she doesn't believe. But as her father has just passed away, she's inheriting all of like the book royalties, the book license or whatever, as well as the house that she didn't know was still in his possession. I'm assuming we're going to go back to this house. We're going to see what happened in the past and how it aligns in the future. And I'm very intrigued. I'm very excited. I love haunted house books. When they're like touring the house, it's so interesting how like the realtor knows some spooky stuff is going on, but also the previous owners, there was a homicide dealio, and so like dark house history, and then they like just buy the house, you know. But the realtor's like, no, that chandelier light was always on. I'm into it. I'm into it. Hey, no, please, no, don't talk back to me. You can get up here. Anyways, I'm enjoying this. The next book that I'm going to read the first chapter of is going to be God Killer by Hannah Canner. I don't know a lot about this except for it's beautiful. I don't remember what this is about at all. I'm assuming there's a god killer or someone who's trying to kill a god or multiple gods. Besides that, I don't know, but I do know that Allie over at Hardback Hoarders loves this. I've been hanging out in her Twitch lately, and every once in a while we'll start talking about books, and this is like one of her recent favorite books, and so I'm very excited to see what it has to offer. She's kind of short. I'm worried that I'm going to mess up the beautiful stenciled pages, but I don't have another copy of this, and the audiobook is like nowhere to be seen, so we're just gonna do it and hope for the best. I'm very excited though. I do like this cover. So yeah, I will check in when I finish the first chapter. Hopefully it's not 7,000 pages. Ooh! Okay. Down. It is actually like much later. Not too much later, but later enough because I ended up having dinner. So I watched 2 YouTube videos, listened to some music while I finished this, and I liked God Killer. It was good. My issues with it though is that it's much more like fantasy than I've been reading lately, and so it was a bit harder to get into. But once I started getting into it, I was like, okay, this is good. And so now I'm intrigued. I wouldn't say that I'm beyond intrigued, but I'm definitely intrigued, to say the least. I am thinking of a tabletop RPG similar to D&D, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, that kind of genre, titled Godkiller First Blood, which I've been watching live streams of on Saturday, and it's so good. It's so good. But it kind of gives me the vibes, which I think is really cool. So I'm hoping that this will continue good. It was the names. There's so many fantastical like names that I was just like, I don't know what it says. I can't get into it. But besides that, once I started like zoning in, I was able to focus a bit better and I started enjoying it more. But again, it was taking me a little bit of time. So I would say currently where we're at in ranking of like intrigue would be this. But because Godkiller is a bit shorter, I think I could read it quicker. And then this next one, does that help with the lighting? Okay, I hope that helps. So next would be House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. And I'm going to actually be honest with you, I've already read the first chapter. And I read it a while ago. Here's my proof. I read it back when this was the Literally Dead book club pick for November, I want to say, before the break. And again, she's short. This is a Realmathon a specific book because it is Kaylee's favorites, I believe. So it helps with Realmathon as well as Aurelium. So it definitely needs to be read, but that first chapter was so boring. I could not get into it. I couldn't care. This is on my official TBR, so it does need to get read. And again, she's short, which is nice, but the first chapter is just establishing that like our main character is barely making ends meet, barely living, and sees the advertisement to go to the House of Hunger, which is basically where you can be fed on by vampires. I'm not really sure yet. I don't know. But it wasn't enticing. It wasn't exciting. It was kind of boring when I picked it up, and I had no interest in reading it again. Before she was first bled, when she still had the name her parents gave her, Marion Shaw was a maid at a townhouse in the south of Pran. Like, I don't care. It's not exciting. I just want to get to the good vampire parts, which I don't even know if it's real vampires. I'm going to be honest. I think it's just rich people being rich people, which is always a fun topic. So yeah, I know that this is going to be good. I just have to really give it more time. The first chapter is like the worst way to go about it because it's not a good first chapter. I'm going to be honest with you. So that's that. Next one, I'm going to read The Writer's Retreat. This is by Julia Bartz. This is the Literally Dead book club pick for April. And the live show is Saturday the 29th. I believe that's Saturday. I think at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So whatever that is for you. I have not heard good things about this. I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard a lot of positive reviews. People think that it's really slow and really boring. I know that Eliza read it and she thought it was so-so. I haven't seen too many of my like closer friends reading it, but they haven't been saying great things. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm intrigued by the plot. There are so many books like this where it's a group of writers going to do something and spooky stuff happens. And I love the idea and concept of that plot. Like, that sounds so good. And when I tried Googling other books similar in plot to this, I was coming up very short, but I know they're out there. And I know it's a very, like, popular trope, if you will. So I'm holding out hope. I'm hoping that I enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm worried I won't. I do have an audiobook to help get through this one whenever I do get around to picking it up. It's just over 300 pages, so it's not too shabby. At one exclusive writer's retreat, it's published in Parish. I think this is maybe like a competition. I'm not super sure. Ooh, part 1, the city. How pretty. Okay. First line. Fuck her. I don't know. I think I could like it. Okay. I'm going to read. I'll check in with you guys once I get this first chapter read. Gosh. Okay. Another one down. I'll be honest, I ended up reading the first 2 chapters, not because I thought it was great, but because I thought the first 10 pages, which was the first chapter, were boring and gave me nothing. Basically, what happens in the first chapter is our main character goes to their friend's, like, publishing party, because, like, one of their collections of essays is being published traditionally, so they're having a party to celebrate, and our main character is uncomfortable and not having a great time, and then drinks a beer, sees an ex-best friend who no longer wants to be her friend. She throws up and she sleeps with her coworker, and that's it. So we don't really know why. You're all right, bud. So we don't know why our main character Alex and Ren are having a big fight. They're no longer friends. Ren has blocked her on social media. Alex still stalks her and hasn't gotten over this friendship breakup. I don't know why, but I know that Ursula, who are like in between, is kind of like the third friend of the group, still trying to get them together but not succeeding. We know that they all applied with short stories to go to this writing retreat with their favorite author, who wrote books that they all loved and kind of like was the starting point of their friendship. And that's all that I know. Are they going to go to the writing retreat with this author at some point? Probably, but yeah. And I am intrigued, just not because of the 2 chapters that I read. It's mostly just because of like the premise as a whole and because it's a book club pick that I'm like interested. But I don't know if this is classified as a thriller or horror. And I think that distinction would change the outcome of this book a lot. If it's a horror writer's retreat where something spooky or sinister is happening, which I guess you could say that about thrillers too. I don't know. It's such a fine line of distinction between the two sometimes. But I think if this leaned more horror, I could like it more than thriller, you know? But I would say that I have more of an interest in this than the secret history, so that's something, right? The bar is low. The bar is really low. I'm so sorry to secret history. So the next one, we've got 3 left. The next one is The Adventures of Amina AlSarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This one's so chunky. It worries me a little bit, I won't lie. She's so chunky. 477 pages. But I know that I have the audiobook for this, which will help a lot. The first chapter is only 14 pages, which isn't bad. Yeah, I've heard one person's review, and that was Covers with Cassidy, and she didn't really like this. I think she ended up giving it 2 stars. This will be my first time reading this author, so we'll see how it goes. I have a beautiful special edition of this too, so hopefully I do love it. I love pirate books. It's an adventure. It's like a final heist before retirement. Like, this heist will pay Amina so much money that she will be set for life and never have to go back to piratey stuff. Plus, oh, this isn't the special edition. I'm so silly. I was going to show you the map with the cat. This is the, it's not the same edition. I'm so sorry. Whew, it's only not even 9 p.m. But yes, this will be the next one. Again, I have the audiobook for the next 3, so I'm going to continue on reading. You know the drill. I'll be back when I finish a chapter. pretty quick. This is so funny. I think I'm going to adore this. The audiobook at 2.25 speed, if I'm reading physically along, will take me 6.5 hours though, which is fine. That's still less than The Secret History, but definitely a little bit time consuming. But this is so funny. This is the best way to set up an adventure story with a new character that you just want to have fun with. I think this is so good. And I've just started. So there's the What's to Come chapter, which is kind of like a prologue, if you will, but instead of being a prologue, it's like, hey, here's the story to come. But it's written by the scribe Jamal. And then we get into Amina's chapter, and she's recalling an old adventure that she went on where she saved these 2 boys who were trying to summon one of the daughters of hell. And she like demon slayed that shit. And it's so funny because like she'll just like stop herself, step back from the mic, and you can hear in the audiobook the like difference in quality. And then she'll talk to Jamal and be like, hey, eat your food. Don't give me any like lip. And I think it's so funny. So I'm really excited to continue with this one. I think it's going to be such a good, fun, silly little time. She's chunky and intimidating, but I think the humor in it will make it go by a bit quicker. Also, this is like an older character. I believe this is adult. I don't know if this is Shannon's adult debut or not. I know that's been happening a lot lately, but I do appreciate how it's like an older mother character, and it talks about how like elder women start businesses and stuff, and like that's really cool, and I appreciate that. As someone who's scared to get older, I do appreciate it. I don't personally enjoy reading older main characters just because I am 24, and so once you're like above 50, I have a harder time relating to you as a character. Not to say I can't enjoy it, but it's just like not what I gravitate towards. But I do think that it's good to have in media, like actual adults in as the main character that's not like boring books. I think that this is super fun. I'm really excited to continue with this week. Oh, I wasn't sure about it, but now I'm like, yes, I'm so sure. Okay, that leaves 2 more. Here's my updated stack in order of intrigue and what I want to pick up sooner than later. First, still got Home Before Dark here on the top just because I love a spooky haunted house story and it just sounds so fun and good. We have The Adventures of Amina AlSarafi because I like humor and adventure, pirate stories. Please stop yelling at me. Then we've got God Killer, House of Hunger, The Writing Retreat, and The Secret History. So that's where we're at now. We've got 2 left, which is One by One by Ruth Ware and The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. I have high hopes for this one, I'll be honest. I'm ready for some trash. One by One by Ruth Ware is next on the list, though, to chapter. I hear that this is one of Ruth Ware's worst. I've only read The It Girl, and I read that last year, and I really liked it. And so I'm intrigued to see how this one goes. I don't have a lot of expectations except for knowing that, like, it is the lowest rated on BookTube. I think Gavin read this for, like, BookTube's worst thrillers or something. So yeah. I don't know what to expect from this, but it's on my TBR because my pet picked it. And then I'm also reading it for a secret reading vlog. So hopefully I enjoy it at least a little bit, right? Snoop me. And that's One by One. So it shows you the Snoop profiles for the, like, founders of the Snoop app, social media app, where you can snoop what people are listening to, kind of like getting music recommendations, but like in real time and listen to it with them, and if it gets interrupted, like, your music will also get cut off. It's a little bit weird, but sure. I actually am enjoying it. I went into this a little bit skeptical, and again, I don't really know a whole lot of what it's about, but it takes place, I'm assuming, at the ski resort where Erin is working with, I think, her friend Daniel, and they have like a ski resort. It's like a hotel, but they also do like fancy parties and dinners and stuff like that, and so they're setting up for the Saturday dinner before the guests come to stay, and the guests right now are going to be all of the co-founders of Snoop, which is still silly. But the first perspective in this was actually from a character, Liz, who has like no Snoop followers or anything but has an account, whereas Erin doesn't seem to have an account, at least not of yet. I don't get the point of Liz at the start of the book having like a 2-page intro to kick the story off, seeing as Liz is not one of the invitees or currently a part of the story, it seems. And so I don't really understand the point of starting with a character that you don't know yet and doesn't really make sense to the plot, which again, I don't know the plot, so who am I to really say? But I really liked Erin's chapter. I thought that her and Daniel are really funny and actually kind of enjoyable, and there's like this slight mystery as to like what happened to Erin's, I'm assuming, love interest, Will, because I think he's dead, because she's laying in the pool and she's like, the sky's eyes are like Will's eye, or the sky's eyes, the sky doesn't have eyes, the sky is like the color of Will's eyes, boo hoo hoo. So there's like intrigue there. I'm really intrigued because it's very like snowy atmosphere, even though like it has now been very sunny outside. I think this will be kind of nice to break up like the spring season. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying it. I think it's kind of funny. It's a little like cringe funny, but it's still funny. And I think the whole Snoop idea is ridiculous, but also, like, I'm in Discord. I can see what my friends are listening to if their Spotify is hooked up. So, like, I kind of get it. Not that I'm listening to the music with them live time, but, like, that's like, a thing that we can actually do. So, it's not that far off. But, yeah, I don't hate it. So, I am excited to continue on. I'll be honest, because it's not like proper chapters, it's just like perspectives. I almost kept going, but I stopped myself. But I thought about just continuing. So that's a good sign. And that means we're on to the last. This is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. It is 9:30 p.m., which means that I will definitely have time to read this chapter. I won't lie, my hopes for this are kind of high. I've heard such fantastic things. Everybody either loves this or hates this. And so I'm hoping that it can be something that I like. So let's give it a try. Was The Atlas 6. The first chapter is from Libby's perspective, where Libby and her academic rival Nico get offered a mysterious, unknown proposition for a potential job that only 6 people in the world will be offered, but only 5 will walk through the door. If you know the premise of The Atlas 6, that kind of sums it up for you. 6 magicians go to kind of battle out for the opportunity to protect the Library of Alexandria from, burning down and stuff. And I could see Nico and Libby being a rivals to lovers thing, and here it would just make sense. The next perspective is Raina. I like it. I don't have an issue with the writing style or anything. I enjoyed the narrator because I do have the audiobook through my library. So I did enjoy the narration, and I don't mind the writing style at all. I know a lot of people have issue with that, but I'm illiterate, so writing style really doesn't bother me most of the time. And so yeah, I do like it. It's a good silly time. I like the rivals. I don't know, I think they're supposed to be college aged, and they do feel a little bit like high school, but I haven't read a lot of like college dark academia books, let alone like college rivals to lovers books. So I don't know how like a rivals would act in a college setting. I didn't have a rival in college. I was just like a normal kid until I dropped out. So my experience there is quite lacking. But I'm excited to continue with this. This is like one of the most hyped book talk books there is. So, you know, I'm excited to see how it goes at the end of the day. My ranking is getting really hard. I'm gonna be honest. I think after reading the first-ish chapter of everything, this is my final ranking of the books that we went over today. Oh my goodness. So this is the final ranking. The Secret History is still on the bottom. It's just slow and boring. I'm sure that it gets better, but as of now, bleh. And then the Writer's Retreat, not a whole lot going for it. House of Hunger, honestly, the first chapter is worse in House of Hunger than the Writing Retreat, I'll be honest with you. But my intrigue for House of Hunger and the whole premise is like a higher intrigue than the Writer's Retreat. So that's kind of why that's where I put it in the stack. And then we've got One by One, which I am pretty interested in. I really liked the Aaron perspective in chapter where they're at the ski lodge and the description of food that I personally would never eat, but sounds fantastic. And then we've got God Killer because I'm interested, but it's also a bit more like brain power fantasy. Kind of reminds me of Adrian Young's Sky Deep. Is that correct? I don't remember. And then we've got the Atlas 6, which I just gave you my thoughts on. And then The Adventures of Amina AlSarafi. I'm excited for it. I really enjoyed the humor and like the fourth wall kind of breaking and the storytelling. And then of course on top, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This one I would say I'm just most intrigued with because I like the horror of it. I like the spooky, scary. I like the haunted house. I've been in a massive horror mood lately, and so I'm really excited for the 28th of April because Horror-a-thon starts, and I've got a few audiobooks for that. So I think I'm going to save this one and maybe try and read it during Horror-a-thon because Horror-a-thon is a 24-hour readathon from the 28th to 29th. Here's a little insight of what's going on for me next weekend. And then the 29th through to the 30th is the Dewey 24-hour readathon for spring. So I'm going to have a reading vlog for the weekend done. And I think this would fit well just because it's a bit shorter. I think I could read it pretty quick. So I think that's going to be my plan, and I'm going to set this one aside for now, but I am really excited to read this. I think it's going to be super fun. So that leaves next The Adventures of Amina AlSarafi. I'm going to read this until I at least feel tired because I'm not tired at all. So I'm going to listen to the audiobook and read this. It'll take me about 6.5 hours in total to get through this, which feels pretty doable. So